Welcome. Today you will learn in 11 steps how to install a Duke Viser system with touchscreen panels and IRHS holding units. Let's get started. Step 1. Required tools. Here are some of the tools you will need to complete the job. Measuring tape, socket set, drill bits. We recommend cobalt or pilot point for drilling through the stainless steel. Anchors and some screws for all types of walls. Bulk Cat5e cable. RJ45 connectors. A crimping tool. Cat5e crossover cable. Zip ties. Diagonal cutters or snips for the zip ties. Wire loom. 6-foot ladder. A laptop. And a keyboard and mouse. Number 2. Here are the standard Viser package contents. The standard Viser package will include 3 Viser Link panels, 1 Viser Link router, which goes in the store office, 1 Viser Link switch, which goes in the UPS enclosure in the kitchen, 1 Viser Link UPS, which goes with the Viser switch in the kitchen enclosure, 3 25-foot Ethernet cables for the Viser Link panels, 1 50-foot Ethernet cable to be used from the router to the Viser switch, 25-foot Ethernet cables for each IRHS. They go from the Viser holding units to the switch. IRHS holding units, if applicable. Note that each unit will include a Cat5 cable and cover. 3 stainless steel Viser Link panel brackets and hardware. The type of mount depends on the store. They will be either 90-degree bracket for use on eye-level horizontal surfaces, 110-degree bracket for use on higher surfaces such as above a holding unit, column-mounted bracket to be used on vertical surfaces such as a wire chase or another piece of equipment, or a sidearm or swing bracket, which is mounted to either a wire chase or holding unit-based fixture. The mounting bracket can be placed on the top or bottom of the arm. 1 stainless steel UPS and switch enclosure, which goes in the kitchen near an available 120-volt outlet. 3 15-foot Viser Link panel power cord extensions, in the case that the standard cable is not long enough. Here are some additional package contents you may encounter. If the store has an NCR or Micros POS, you will be supplied with an additional USB dongle with a Cat5 cable to be connected from the server panel to the Viser router in the office. If the store has a specialty panel or needs to remotely power a Viser Link panel because it's too far from the Viser switch, you'll be provided with an extra UPS enclosure, UPS battery backup, and a USB cable to be connected from the UPS to a Viser panel. For every extra Viser Link panel, you'll be provided with the Viser Link panel and an extra 25-foot Cat5 cable to be connected to the Viser switch. Step 3. Preparing the site. Use the Duke order document to confirm all equipment and parts are present and in good condition. It will be helpful to follow the installation checklist to ensure all aspects of the installation are completed. Ensure the site is prepared for the installation by confirming all necessary equipment is on site and proper electrical and network requirements are met. Step 4. Once prepped, you may begin setting up the office. If you're installing at a SciComm store, connect your new Viser router to the digital menu board switch, which will either be this model of TreadNet switch or some other 16-port switch such as a blue Netgear switch. If you are installing at a non-SciComm store such as NCR or Micros, you will not connect to the DMB switch, but instead will connect the new Viser router to both the store's Sonic wall and the main router. Lastly, a dongle will connect this new router and the main server panel. It is this new Viser router that will supply internet to the Viser switch found inside the UPS enclosure. Step 5. Time to open that shiny new holding unit. If you're installing new holding units, consult the manager to determine the proper placement. Its orientation will be determined by 2 factors: which side the manager would like the on-off switch to be, and where the nearest power outlet is available. Unbox the new holding unit. Each new unit will include covers and trivets which can be given to the manager, as well as a Cat5 cable and protective cover. Be strategic when opening this large box, as it can be reused later. Temporarily set the Duke holding unit aside to free up the box where you can place the store's existing holding units. Unplug and remove the existing holding units and place in the Duke box. You'll likely notice a buildup of grease underneath the old equipment. Gross. Be sure to clean this surface before placing the new unit. Install each new holding unit as determined by the restaurant manager. If there will be a sidearm mounted bracket at any location, be sure to include the bracket mounting base beneath the holding unit. The base must be positioned such that brackets and provided plates restrict the movement of the IRHS holding unit on the base. These are the plates. You use screws with these holes. If you install a fry holding unit in front of the kitchen, you must remove this part from the store's old holding unit. It's used to hold fry containers. The new holding unit is machined with screws already in place, ready to accept this piece. It is also helpful to note that if the power cable for your fry holding unit is too short, the side panel can be opened to reveal an extra 6 feet of cable. Just cut the zip tie, loosen this nut, and pull out the amount of cable that you need. Step 6. Time to install the panels. Confirm placement of panels and specific bracket types with your store manager. Once confirmed, you may attach the brackets with the provided hardware. You will find self-tapping screws taped to each bracket. First, mark the hole placement with a marker. Since these are stainless steel surfaces, it will be much easier to pre-drill the holes using the self-tapping screws or a drill bit rather than trying to hold the panel steady while drilling. Once the holes are in place, fasten the panel to the surface. If you are fastening a panel to the top of one of the new Duke holding units, do not place it in this area. This width, right here, is where all of the cables run. However, anywhere past this seam is acceptable and will not cause damage to the unit. Be sure to use the included or similar self-tapping screws and be very cautious of their length when drilling into any equipment's surface. Use common sense, people. Once each bracket is installed, unbox the panels. You will notice a label on each panel denoting whether it is the server or not. This one is. Here are the ports for Ethernet, USB, and on the other side, more USB, and finally power. Place the panel inside the bracket. There is a spring on the back of the bracket that will keep the panel pressed up against the front frame. Number 7. Mounting the UPS enclosure. As with the Viser panels, mark holes and use self-tapping screws to levelly mount the enclosure to a raised and solid surface, such as the wire chase. You want to make sure this enclosure is far from the ground, since it's common for these restaurants to hose down the floors, and the components inside cannot get wet. The enclosure must be within reach of a 120-volt outlet, so plan accordingly. A bag is included with zip ties and rings to protect cable paths. The battery backup can be held in place with the provided zip ties, or your own. There are pins in the enclosure that allow the switch to slide into place, just like this. Pretty easy, right? Now you are ready to connect the cables. Number 8. Connect the Office Viser router to the switch within the UPS enclosure using the 50-foot Cat5 cable. Each kitchen terminal will require a Cat5 and power connection from a UPS enclosure. You can use the 25-foot Cat5 cables and, if necessary, the 15-foot power extenders for this. If you have only one battery backup, it should have a USB cable connecting it to the main server terminal. Additional batteries will be connected with a USB to the nearest Viser terminal. Each holding unit requires a Cat5 cable as well. Be sure to run the cable through this port cover before making the connection. Super simple. You'll find 3 holes available in the UPS enclosure. This is where you will run the equipment's data and power cables. You must run data cables through a different hole than the power cables in order to avoid interference. Once you have connected all equipment and ensured everything is receiving power and data, manage the cables in and outside the enclosure and attach the cover to the enclosure. Apply screen protectors to each terminal and prepare to configure the network. Number 9. Test the well temperatures. This is the holding unit. This particular holding unit has 12 wells. A well is just the space underneath each light. Ask the manager for their surface thermometer and test that each well is at least 185 degrees. This is the default temperature until the holding unit is added to the network. You also want to check that every light in the unit flashes at least once every 30 seconds. Number 10. Installing the Viser software. Plug your keyboard and mouse and the provided USB flash drive into each POS terminal to complete the following software install. Use your mouse and keyboard to access the Start menu and open the My Computer folder. Navigate to the flash drive and find the Duke Viser Terminal Setup item. Double-click on it or right-click and select Run. You will know it has installed when this prompt appears. It may take a minute. Press OK and close the flash drive folder. Now reopen the Start menu and navigate to the desktop. You will see a Reset Terminal button. Double-click to reboot the terminal. At this point, you may remove the flash drive and your keyboard and mouse. Complete these steps for every single POS terminal in the restaurant and make sure they all return to the default screen after rebooting. Number 11. Holding unit and panel configurations. Please continue to the supplementary video detailing the software configurations. Once configurations are complete, take the required pictures, submit paperwork, and you are done. Did you know that Burger King now has Cinnabon?